Hi, my name is Brian, and I own a small computer repair shop in South Florida. And today we are going to be dismantling a SONY VAIO laptop. Let's see what this thing is here. It's a SVE151, D as in Delta, 11L as in Lima. It is a fairly new machine, but it's needs to be cleaned up on the inside. Got some heavy use, so we're going to go ahead and do that for this client here. Alright, so the first thing we do, well, let's talk about some tools first before I jump right into this. 3.5 millimeter magnetic tip screwdriver. It's kind of like one that you would find in an eyeglasses kit. If you don't know how to get your tip of your screwdriver magnetized, I have another video that you can click on and you can watch how to do that. It's a pretty neat little way of turning any screwdriver into, other than plastic obviously, into a magnetic tip. Magnetic tip is important. You'll see why later. I've got a couple of spudgers here. These are black sticks. These are from, I buy them on eBay or Amazon. I have a link in my description that will take you to the ones that you should buy. These are non-marring tools. This is important for prying and doing other sorts of stuff that you don't want to scratch the plastic. I had this dental tool thing for poking and prodding if you need it. A razor blade, can of compressed air, some alcohol swabs. These are useful for cleaning off thermal paste. Speaking of thermal paste, this is Spectracool polysynthetic thermal compound or thermal paste. It's important. And that's pretty much it. Oh, and this little bin here, I developed this. I do a lot of this kind of work, and it actually has little storage compartments with labels on it, so when I pull a screw out, I put it in the bin so I don't have to figure out where it went. They do this because we should not have any screws left over during this process. If you do, you did it wrong. Is it the end of the world? Probably not. But don't shoot for that. Be organized. I've seen people take bottle caps, tackle boxes, all that jazz. So you can do any of that stuff and make it work for you. First thing we are going to do, flip the laptop on its top and remove all power sources, including the battery. This is important. Set it aside. We are going to remove every screw that we can see on the bottom of this computer. Okay, so if you can see the screw, you're going to take it out, and you're going to remove all these panels and these screws. We're going to completely dismantle this laptop from top to bottom, every screw. All right, here we go. Okay, we got all the screws out, we got the panels off, we get the battery out, we get the hard drive out, we get the CD-ROM out. That didn't take that long, right? No, not at all. We are going to take our spudgers, our black sticks, we're going to use the pointed tips, and we are going to remove the RAM. We're going to pop these springs out and let the RAM pop up. See how that worked? Boom, there's your RAM. Alright, do it one more time. We got another stick. Up it comes. Boom, there's your RAM. Set it in your bin. Okay, it's organized. Right? We're organized. We're feeling good. Oh, I missed a screw. I always miss a couple screws. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. And you can see this will come out. Hey, Daniel? Yeah? Can you get me the magnet? I need to remagnetize my screwdriver. Yeah. Please. How important it is to have this tip to be magnetized, and sometimes it doesn't last. This one's probably hasn't been done in a while. Thank you. This is a hard drive magnet. This is what I use. Scrape it across in one direction. Here we go. One direction. one direction, and I'm not sure about the science behind it. I looked it up at one point, but basically what you're doing is aligning the poles. Even still, that thing won't come out of there. This one too. I mean, they're unscrewed, but they're not coming loose. And then you can try to tap it. There's one. One came out. We're trying to avoid that, the banging and tapping. You don't really want all that stuff. Okay, so anyhow, that's a what is wood?
It's a Mac with a display cable.
If you want to do that one next.
Yeah. Oh, okay. When did that one come in?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Okay.
I forgot about it. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. So I've never taken this particular model apart, so we're going to take a look at this. And Sony VAIOs are all kind of the same, but like you have to work your way from the top down once you get all those screws out. So that's what we're going to do here. Ah, that screw finally came out. Fantastic. Alright. And it fell out in a good location. We don't actually have to. Maybe we can pull this whole bottom panel off. Let's see. So we're going to do some investigative tugging. I want to remind you that this is a process in which we go through as technicians. Ah, there's another screw I missed in the battery tray. Don't forget that one. When you do your investigative tugging, you figure it out. Ooh, look at that. Work from the bottom up. Man, Sony, I love you. You make this so easy on guys like me. Now we can get right to the cooling fan. We don't even need to pull this whole thing apart. This is fantastic. Sony, engineers, fantastic job. Love you. Alright. So this is our cooling fan. Here's our Wi-Fi card. We don't even have to pull any of that out. In an HP model or Toshiba model, yeah, you're going to end up pulling all that stuff out to get to the fan because you work from the top down. VAIO's, it's been a while since I worked on one, but yeah, this is the way that they work. So this cooling fan has a dual purpose. It cools not only the CPU, Central Processing Unit, but it also cools the GPU. It's got a graphics processing unit in it as well, and they're all kind of tied together. Okay, we are going to pull this fan assembly off completely, and there's only one safe way of doing this. Okay, we are going to pull all the screws that are holding this fan to the motherboard first and foremost. Alright, let's do that first, and do some tugging here, and then we are going to pull the screws that are holding the cooling fin on top of the GPU, the graphics processing unit. Also, we're going to use our black stick and we are going to pop this cooling fan power cable off. Okay, so we've now essentially loosened our whole system here, and we are going to then pull the 4 screws off of the GPU. Alright, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. But there are 4 screws right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And they are labeled with those numbers. We are going to do those in the exact order that they are labeled. So here's number 1. Woo, here we go. Here's number 2. Here we go. Yes. Here's number 3. Notice we're going in an X pattern, not 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going 1, 2, 3, and 4. And these screws don't come all the way out. They're held in by small little washers. Okay. And now this whole system lifts right out. There's our cooling fan, right? That's pretty sweet, huh? Now we can take our compressed air and blow all that crud out of our fan. It's clean. It's spinning well. You can see the cooling, the thermal paste is still somewhat putty-like. Now we're going to pull our little cooling fin off of our GPU, and it's got a thermal pad on it, which looks like it's in good shape, and we're not going to mess with that at all. We're going to go ahead and leave that guy. He's fine. And so let's set this aside for a moment and let's discuss what we're going to do here. We are going to take all of this thermal paste off of this beautiful copper plate, and we're going to use our razor blade to do that. Okay, and the reason why we use a razor blade is because it's quick and it's efficient. However, it won't get everything, so we're going to grab one of our alcohol's prep swabs and we're going to finish the job and get it nice and shiny and clean. This is not a step that you're going to be able to miss. If you type into the comments, hey, I don't have access to any thermal paste, is it cool if I just don't use any? Or is it cool if I use a shim? Or is it cool if I use a penny? I am going to tell you no on every front. You will destroy your computer, and it would be your own fault. Okay? So do not skip the thermal paste step. It is so important. You have no concept of it. It's very important. Please don't skip it. All right? So I'm done on that soapbox now. All right. So now we have to remove the thermal paste from our CPU. And the spudgers work great for this, to get the excess off. Okay. And then I just use a little compressed air to blow off the chunks, and I'll grab my alcohol swab and I'll finish the job that way. Okay. Great. Ooh, it's looking so good. This is your central processing unit, and remember, this is fragile, so you want to be very careful with it. Okay, and you want it completely dry. That's why I'm using compressed air here. Okay, completely dried off, and that's the reason why we use alcohol, because alcohol, it cleans, it disinfects, and then it evaporates rather quickly. Okay, that's the whole point of this. That is really key. Now, SpectraCool, this is SpectraCool, polysynthetic compound. You don't have to use SpectraCool. You could go to a big box store, like one with a blue sign on it. I'm not a big fan of that place, but you can get this stuff there. Thermal paste. Doesn't have to be SpectraCool, doesn't have to be X17, doesn't have to be anything specific, as long as you use thermal paste. Okay? You're doing an awesome thing here. You're making your machine run cooler, which is going to make it run faster. And so why go through all this trouble if you're not going to do it correctly? All right, I use the grain of rice method. All right, I'm going to make a grain of rice with my thermal paste on top of this CPU. Okay, here we go. Grain of rice. That's it. That's all we need. A little squirt. It's good stuff. And now we can put this all back together. Alright. Just double checking, I see some more dust build up here on the motherboard. Just going to do a real thorough job getting all of this stuff cleaned out. Okie doke. So now we're going to place our cooling fan back down. And remember how we took off the 4 screws that were holding this down? We are now going to follow that exact same numerology so that we can get this thing back together in an X pattern. So here's 1, and I'm not tightening too tight. Here's 2, not tightening too tight. Here's 3, and here's 4. Awesome. And our GPU needs to go back down. So we're going to go ahead and tighten that down. Now, if in the case that your GPU's thermal pad was bad, this one was okay, but if it was bad, then I would tell you to go ahead and strip that and replace it with thermal compound. Okay. In this case, we didn't do it because we didn't need it. Okay. We're going to plug our fan back in. Yes, don't forget that step. I have so many people type comments in and say, oh, I did all the work and now my machine shuts off, but I don't hear the fan. It's because you forgot to plug the fan back in, or possibly the fan was damaged during the process. I highly doubt that. Even damaged fans, they still spin, they just make noise and the bearings grind. don't forget to plug in your fan. I've done it. Oh man, have I done it. I've done it so many times. You have no idea. But don't make the same mistake I've made. Make sure you plug that thing in. Okay. And then now we have a screw to replace here. There was only one holding this fan down to the motherboard, which was this guy. And I had him in my bin under interior. I have a little interior bin there. And that keeps me organized. Alright. Now, believe it or not, we can go for a reassembly, which is extremely easy, thank you to Sony. We're going to just blow that off because, hey, you don't get a chance to get in there very often. Alright. This is going to just snap back into place. Okay. And I have a bin in here called battery tray, because there's screws that sit in the battery tray and they're typically different than the screws that are all across the bottom panel of these things. So I have a battery tray panel or bin. There we go. And one more there. And I'm going to go ahead and throw in my CD-ROM back in. These things just slide out once you remove the screw. You just take your thumb and they go right out. I'll zoom out again here so you can see they just pull right straight out and go back in. Okay. And then the hard disk is going to go slide in, and then you have this little plastic tab that you can use. Some dog hair in there to snap it back in place. And then there was I have a hard drive bin where I can put my screw back that way. And RAM is sensitive to static. I'm in South Florida, so you don't see me wearing a static wrist guard or anything like that. I get questions like that all the time. Our humidity levels, even in air-conditioned spaces, is like 75-80%. Static electricity down here is non-existent. In your part of the world, wherever you are watching this video, static electricity may be an issue. So it's something important to think about when you're doing this kind of work, because if you grab this thing and you send a small charge across it, it could fry it. Okay. I am, however, working on an anti-static mat. That's what this thing is. So just in case, it's not necessary in my part of the world, but because I make all these videos, I want you guys to understand, hey, use anti-static stuff. You can also discharge yourself by touching something metal, ground yourself out before you do work like this. Alright? So our RAM slides in, snaps down. You saw how that went in, right? Okay. And now we're going to go ahead and put every screw back into the bottom panel of this computer. So, let's do that together, shall we? This is our RAM panel. Snaps down. Screws down. Our hard drive panel. Slides into place. Put a battery back in. No screws left over. None. Yes. I buy these bins at Lowe's, by the way. Pretty cheap. They're like $2. I take a little label maker and make your labels there, which is pretty sweet. Alright, so that's that. Let's turn on our computer here. Hopefully we got some juice. There we go. She's moving into Windows. And it's running cooler than it did when it came into the shop. That's important. This is the whole idea that why this machine came into our shop today. So remember, take your time, be organized. This whole process took what, 20 minutes, something like that. You know, to get in there and cool this thing, make this thing a lot cooler. By doing this, you're going to add life, you know, years of life to your laptop. You know, whether or not it's a Sony or Toshiba HP, heat kills electronics, okay? And that cooling fan and its operation is so detrimental to this thing running properly. So I appreciate you watching my videos. Please like it, please subscribe, please share it on your Facebook page if you're a technician. You know, subscribe to my channel so you can keep up with everything I'm doing. I've been building some more classes. I've got a new... I've been fishing a lot, you know, you guys have seen that. So, anyhow, I really appreciate it. Thanks so much, and we'll see you on the next repair.